A very special good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, folks, so very much for joining me today on Viewpoint. My name is Wendell Moore. I'm here with you until the 1 o'clock hour. That's when it's time for the news, and my guest is also here with me, one who is basically no stranger at all, but the topics that is usually discussed. And I'm also happy to have him because hardly we hear from the leadership or some sectors of the leadership in the northern part of the island, but except for a news soundbite. But I'd love to have him here so that I can ask him a few questions in relation to where we are heading and whether or not we have the right approach when it comes to how we should be functioning on this island, both sides, French and Dutch, or North and South, for those who prefer to hear it that way. Councilman Jules Charville is here with me, and I'm happy to have him. Usually he makes himself available to talk about a number of things that is oftenly left out of the conversation when it comes to the unity of this one, I wanted to use the word estranged island, but it's just unique. I think that's the better word. Unique 37 square miles that is governed by two separate administration, and the people, you can't find ways to make reference to them being from one side or the other, because from the north they feel very much a part of the south, and from the south they feel very much a part of the north because of one important ingredient as well, which is family ties and involvement in the whole economic aspect of the survival of St.Maarten. So with that, let me warmly welcome the Honorable Jules Charville for joining me today on Viewpoint. Mr. Charville, good afternoon to you, sir. It's always a pleasure having you in. So I want you to feel warm and welcoming, because I believe what you have to say is really important. I don't know if it is safe to say you have everything right. I don't know of anyone on planet Earth that has everything right, but at least you have a view. You're involved in the political process, and you have an overview as well as to how things are going. And surely what you have to say bring information to the table. So good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
I couldn't put it no other way.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to the viewers, the listeners, wherever they are in the world.
Yeah.
Because we are.
We'll make fun a little closer to you. Yeah.
On the internet. So thank you for the opportunity always, and know that it's always a pleasure for me to come here and have a conversation with you. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
I want to bring your attention upon starting to the preamble of our Constitution, because it says something very important here.
Okay.
That demonstrates why we need to be more together as one unit. Hear what it says. We affirm and we acknowledge the guiding principles of Almighty God as the core of our values, inspired by the exercise of our universal right to self-determination as expressed in the referendum of June 2000, with which we freely chose to be a country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Resolved to work, here is where I want you to take note, resolved to work together with our partners in the kingdom. We're talking about Curaçao, Aruba, the Netherlands.
Yeah.
With our neighbors in French St.Maarten, and with all people of the world. So it is mentioned here that the same way in your constitution that we need to have consultations with the other countries. Yeah. St.Maarten is just, the French part or the northern part is just as important.
Should be even the most important.
Yeah. And what I said at the start, the family ties that keeps everyone feel like there's a oneness between both sides makes it important for us to have more consultations when it comes to the political aspect of running this small 37 square mile island. I'm sure I heard you mention it before, so I'm sure that you would agree with that.
Of course, and it's amazing how even though it's there in the Constitution, but we didn't even have to put it there, or they didn't even have to put it there, for us to understand that we must work together. It's a must.
Yes.
And it's amazing that
does it happen?
It's not happening, and for so long.
Yeah.
Just imagine that we got 2 years now almost since we have a new government on the southern side.
Yeah.
A year and a half or 2 years. Right? They have about 2 more years to go and change, right? And we have 4 years now since we have a new administration. And it seems like they have never met. I'm talking about the Prime Minister and the President officially.
Yeah.
There has never, that I can confirm, there has never been a meeting with the Territorial Council and Parliament for the past 2 years, almost, even before that, the former government, it didn't happen. It happened, the last time that happened was in 2014, 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm. But just recently, not to cut you off, but just recently there was an issue on the airport that flares up as a result of some of the edges, the sharp edges that we have to deal with, and the flare-ups occasionally when we don't have this consistent dialogue between both sides. And
it's needed more than ever, Wendell. It's needed at all levels. It's needed right now, and it's urgent. Mm-hmm. The garbage situation that we can work on together, the water, the electricity, the problems that you've been having quite a few months ago. I think it has improved greatly with GB.
Yes.
Electrical problem. Well, we are having our hands full with EDF now. Sometimes the electricity goes for hours. Never used to happen, but if you look at it well, you look all through the island, at least on the northern side, those generators put in place by EDF, because the major plant, the main plant, has a problem.
Yeah.
So therefore, there are often load shedding. And so we are going backward. But we can work together on water, electricity, garbage, and something that gave us a wake-up call a few months ago is the incident that happened with WestJet.
Yeah.
We have one major runway, and the situation is fragile, as we noticed that day. For 24 hours or more, no aircraft could land or take off. So what we need, and we saw the need for it years ago, since 2010, that's 16 years ago. The idea was there, it almost happened. Another major runway. We don't need, again, another major airport. We don't want to be competitive, but a runway should have the potential to receive the same type of aircraft that Juliana receives, just in case.
Yeah.
So it would function as a regional airport, but it would have the potential to receive an Airbus 330, receive a Boeing 737. That's the most common aircraft coming from the U.S. now, is the 737. For now, as it is in Grand Cause, it can't land. A 737 cannot land or take off in Grand Cause. We need a minimum of another 600 meters. It's right now at 1,200 meters. There were, I have to say were, because it seems like that has gone somewhere to a back burner. There were plans to extend it to 1,500 meters, which would give, for instance, maybe a 737 to land. But we want an Air France or KLM, so then you have to go to the 1,800 meters. And that is possible, but we have to focus on that together. It's something that is going to serve the island, not French side only. As I said, it was a wake-up call to us,
Yeah.
Something worse can happen, God forbid, can happen. And then for weeks, we can't use Juliana. What would happen to the island?
And
the economy?
there never has been a consultation on this?
No, that was an opportunity. And I talked about it here the last time I was here. I wonder why that didn't trigger something and said, okay, we need to get together and see what can be done, or let's come back to the initial plan. There was a plan in 2011. I can tell the population, the listeners, sorry, what was the plan. The plan was for Juliana, together with St.Maarten and our Chamber of Commerce, to take over that airport, to run it. But the idea with having in mind to make out of Grancar's runway a major runway, and all the regional flights would be Grancar's. We see at the end of the year, when you have all those private jets and we don't have any more space, now they go to Anguilla, St. Kitts, they would come to Grancar's. Mm-hmm. Okay? But that mean everything would stay here. Would create work for the taxi drivers, but both sides would benefit from the airline business. Right? Now, it failed. It went to a Canadian company that had interest in a French company in France, and created a company to compete with that plan.
That concept?
Yes. And it was given to them in 2011, I think it was.
And they had a complete
15 years
plan.
ago, and they're running it today. But nobody can say they're satisfied with the way they're running it. Mm-hmm. And the idea that concept has disappeared. There was, I would say, there was something that this leader that we have, President Mussington, had in mind, which he was saying they were in breach of contract before he got elected, that we had to get rid of them, which I agreed with him, so that eventually we can come back to that concept that is so needed. Well, today we have to wonder whatever happened to the idea of getting rid of them. I mean, it would be difficult because instead of getting rid of them, he got into business with them, with the Air Antilles thing. That's his partner. So therefore, it was difficult, or it is difficult today to go and try to get rid of them, since you are doing business with them. Yeah. And so it makes it difficult.
So then, the idea of the new venture that the president took on to take over Air Antilles could have been a good one if it had the kind of plan that fits into the development that is necessary.
No, that the idea of Air Antilles, as it was presented to the bidders, because there were different bidders,
okay,
and the collectivity, the St.Maarten collectivity was one of them. The way it was presented, the deal that was presented to everybody was not a good one. So it is not about the development. It was a bad deal from the beginning. That's almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
August 2023. It's almost 3 years. And from the very beginning, some of us in opposition told the president not to touch that deal. It was a rotten deal.
Okay.
It was predictable what has happened today. For those that listening or looking, watching, that don't know, Air Antilles is bankrupt for the second time. We are about to lose, we meaning the government, the taxpayers, the people of the northern side, the taxpayers, are about to lose some 20 million euros. You see? And that
tied up in the Antilles deal?
Yes. And that could have been avoided, because from the beginning we realized the type of risk, it did not worth the risk. Okay. Mostly.
But if you get into the head of the initiators of the concept to buy over Air Antilles, what could you describe or imagine that they were seeing?
Well, it was clear, Wendell. The company went bankrupt, okay? And then it was a company that had, I think, some 15 or 16 aircrafts. They had some 320-something employees, right? Mm-hmm. And what made it attractive to the president and his team is that they said they're going to make an offer of 400,000 euros and see if with that money they can get hold of 4 of the aircrafts. And but the trick is they did not realize that it is 400,000, you get 4 aircrafts, but it also came with a liability of 21.5 million euros to be paid at the rate of 200,000 euros per month.
Okay.
And then they have, the way they presented, the court has presented to the bidders is that out of the 320 something employees, you must take back 120. You must. So remember, if you take 120 employees, every month you have to pay the salaries. You have to pay that 200,000 per month. You have to maintain the aircrafts, etc. Thing is, once that airline went bankrupt, the aircrafts were grounded.
Yeah.
And whoever would have won the bid, which in this case, the collectivity bid, they won based on that 400,000 offer. You would have to wait 6 months to a year before getting a license to fly. Okay. In the meantime, you have all that overhead every month without revenues. So knowing that from the beginning, you know that that was too risky.
Yeah.
And you know what? It took them 11 months to get a license. So all what I just mentioned, they had to be paid for 11 months before they can get €1 revenue. That was not a good deal. You had to leave that stay right there. Okay? Now, Guadeloupe, Martinique, all the other French territories, Guyana, said, we're not touching that, even though it was their airline. The risk with tax, if it's private funds, you may want to take the risk, but it's public funds. You don't go to the casino. I call it going to the casino with public funds. Taxpayers make great sacrifices to pay taxes. You have to be careful what you're doing with their money. Today, President Musselton is accountable for 20.2 million euros that has gone down the drain. Now, I'm saying gone down because there's no way that it can come back. Let me explain why. Okay, the collectivity has invested in the capital 1.2 million. The capital is 2 million. Okay, they got 60% of the shares. French government, local government. They took as a partner the company that is running the airport in Grancourt, right? And they got 40%. So they put 1.2 collectivity. The other company put 800,000. Then they told them that they have to put 6 million on a banking account. They put 6 million. That's taxpayers' money. So that's money that's being put for operations. Then they told him they have to put a guarantee of 10 million euros until you get your license. Then after that, they came to the council and said, we need to give them another loan of 3 million because that's when the company was already, that happened in October, but that's when the company was already underwater. And we told him in opposition, we said, listen guys, you're already in trouble for 17.2 million. Why put another 3 million, knowing that the company is bankrupt? But Wendell, less than a month and a half after giving him the 3 million, the company, the aircraft was grounded. And since December 8, 2025, up to today, those aircrafts have not flown. They're still grounded. And the president went to the court and declared bankruptcy so that he can get bankruptcy protection, which they have given him. However, they have given him 6 months and a date for him to come with a plan, a restructuring plan, and that the judge would accept or not. But for that, you need somebody, some investors, or some airline out there that would be crazy enough to say, okay, it's bankrupt, but we're going to put, that's not going to happen. That's how they were dreaming. They were dreaming, thinking, we looking. You're not going to get that. So eventually, it will be liquidated. And when that happens, the taxpayers from the northern side would have lost 20.2 million euros. Now, what's worse? And I'm not sure that the president was aware of it. I wasn't for sure. Last week, Friday, before we vote the budget, there is a session with the council where the president has to present his orientations of the budget. Say, this is what the budget is going to look like for this and for that. So it gives you an idea that a month after, because you have to vote the budget every year before the end of March. So I think close to maybe the third week of March next month will be the voting of the budget. But we already have an idea what he's coming with.
It was already presented.
The day before that meeting, he sent us, I call it a letter, about Air Antilles, explaining to us that this is what the law says, the law. According to Article L, I think 2321.2-2 or something like that, of the code, the territorial codes, when a local government or government invests in a company and the risk is that you're going to lose that investment, you have to provide on your budget a replacement. So you could spread it out over a certain amount of time. So when the general manager explained, we think we're going to begin with 10%. 10% of 20 million is about 2 million. Is 2 million, okay? But it's 20.2. So we can expect that he's going to come and tell us we need to provide 2 million euros every year. That it can change, but for sure this year, beginning as a provision for the money that we would have lost. So if we lose the 20 million, our own selves have to provide a replacement of that 20 million. Now, means that the population is going to be penalized twice. Penalized by losing the first 20 million, then you have to come and provide a replacement from our budget of that 20 million. So
but
you see the trouble.
That is left up to the council to vote on it, right?
Yes, it will be a vote. It will be a vote for the how much. Because he can come and say, I'm proposing 2 million. We can say, no, it's too much. But we have to vote a certain amount.
But he has the majority, which means that when it comes to a vote,
lately it hasn't been working that way. And in general, after a certain amount of years of a local or state, I would say not state, central government sitting, then you start to get some members not quite agreeing. So we noticed that when it comes to Air Antilles, because they've been voting yes, but after a while when they realize, wait a minute, because they pay taxes too, and they realize, wait, our money is being dilapidated, it's being wasted, and we are losing our money, they began to say, hey, no, on certain things.
Okay.
So don't say that. He doesn't have the unity when it comes to this topic.
Okay.
It's about taxpayers' money, which is also our money as councillors. You know, we have to protect our money. Now it's too late to protect. I've been telling him in his negotiations since we got in trouble, which was predictable, negotiate with whoever you're negotiating with to see how we can get back our funds. If not all, if it's 20 million, half of it, 2/3 of it, work on getting back the money. But he wanted to remain at all costs 60% shareholder. No one is going to put millions and remain in minority or save the company with more than what the majority shareholder can put, because we don't have the money. We didn't have it. We didn't have it from the beginning. That is important for the listeners and the viewers to know. We never had the money. The money that those 20 million, and today we're in a hole for it,
Was earmarked for other
were
projects.
allocated to projects.
Yeah.
Projects for young people, the cultural centers, our stadiums, the omnisport thing. I mean, you name it. Some money from the roads, for instance. And they took 2 million from here, 1 million from there, because that was not on the budget. It was not on the budget. So you had to go and look for that money. Thing is, the president was wishing and hoping that the state would, out of that 20 million, he would have gotten back 12. He was looking for 12 million. They're going to give us 12 million. He kept fighting for it, going to France, looking. I mean, we saw him in France on TV saying, I'm here searching for 12 million. Never got it. So we in our budget, actually it was said, one of the technicians last week said, for how our budget will be set up, we are still searching for 20 million euros. But that's the 20 million that is into Air Antilles.
Okay, well, I know recently, and I want to take a break, but recently it was called in for questioning for embezzlement of funds that was mentioned. Does all that have anything to do with what you're explaining?
No, that's a different thing. He said that the opposition he's taken him to court for defamation. And there was no defamation. That is something different. That has to do with the 3 million when it came for us to vote the last 3 million as a loan to the airline back in October. And the opposition went and explained why it shouldn't happen, that we are already losing 17 million. But we explained, and then I have revealed that the airline has never been registered with the name that we have given it officially. When it's being created, we have created an airline company called New Air. Not Air was the old name that went bankrupt. So to make the difference, the council has voted to create a company called Société d'économie mixte, SEM, New Air Antilles, with a certain values per share, a certain value per shares. Okay, now, it was €1 per share. Those things that were decided by the council, somebody or some persons within days or weeks have, after that decision, modified what the council has decided and changed the name back to Air Antilles. Change the value of each share, taking it from €1 to €10 a share. That's not, and went and registered the company with those new values that the council has not approved. What the council has approved was never declared to the registry. So the company today that they're calling ART with the €10 per share is not the company that's being created by the council. So therefore, the real company has not been registered. So, and that's where we said there's a potential for whoever has done that to yes, and go in front of a judge and be condemned by this, by that. And so we were talking in general. He felt that we were talking about him, and whereas his name was never mentioned, we never said president, we never called his name, but he said defamation. They said that I'm embezzling, I have embezzled money. Nobody said that about him. So I guess that he realized, or lawyers have told him, hey, back off from that because it's not defamation. So he stopped saying that, but that was the reason. Yeah.
All right. I still need to talk a little bit about traffic. The reason why the consultation on both sides is so very necessary.
Of course.
So that we can come up with a comprehensive plan rather than just one side trying to do whatever for the sake of traffic. All right, I'm here with Councilman Jules Charville, and we'll come back and have a continued conversation with him right after we take a quick break. Okay, folks, welcome back to our conversation with the councilman from the French part of the island. He's representing the whole party. He's in the opposition in the council, if you want to call it that, but it's a governing body. Everyone has to give their consent to the decisions that are taken in regards to the furtherance or moving forward of at least the French territory. Okay, Mr. Charville, I guess it's safe to say then that this decision regarding Air Antilles is a bad one, and I guess some would probably say that if they're being biased, that it wasn't bad, but we have lost because the company is bankrupt again. So that's it. So that's a dead note.
Yes, the thing is, the president should have never gone along that way. And he has yet, up to now, he has yet to admit that he has made a mistake.
Okay.
And nobody is perfect. You know, everybody makes mistake. Mostly that is someone that introduced him to the idea and convinced him that that's what he should do. It was not him that discovered that Air Antilles was bankrupt.
Yeah.
It's a particular gentleman that said, look, we have this opportunity. So it was it was done in 2 stages. The first stage was the first week they came to the council and said, do you agree for in the concept of the creation of a St.Maarten airline?
Yeah.
Said yes. Everybody said yes. The next week was, okay, we have agreed for the concept, but this is how we're going to do it. As soon as he introduced the concept, not most of us, but a lot of us, some of them are from his side also, but they changed their mind, talked to them, convinced them. But deep inside, they knew it was not a good idea. So it was a mistake, but it has cost us 20-something, 20 million point two euros.
Okay.
That is now lost. Now, there's there are 2 things that this gentleman introduced him to. The second one is another mistake. So twice he followed this person, and also I find it to be a huge mistake, which is this company that it was created for the communes in Guadeloupe. You know, before 2007 we used to be a commune, so we got our 10-10-10 in 2007 autonomy away from Guadeloupe. Over here we got away from Curacao, all right? And so we're not a commune, but this was created for the communes of Guadeloupe. This person talking me into becoming a member of that. He asked me privately. I said, no, don't do it. We have today the possibility of creating our own company like that. What that company does, if a commune wants to buy land and it doesn't have the money right away, the company would buy it and hold it for that commune for 5 years, and then the commune would buy it back from them. They would get a deal. Okay? So we had to change our urbanism code. They in Guadeloupe, that company, had to change their bylaws in order to make it work. They had to change the name to it. Was EPF, and now today is Terre Caraïbe, because of St.Maarten becoming part of them, even though they're not a commune of Guadeloupe. So all that was done. Now, the first and very important is that now that we are a member, there's a membership fee that is paid yearly. And that membership fee is 20 euro per inhabitant. So we have about 35,000 people on the French side, more or less, maybe 40,000, whatever, somewhere there, okay? Times 20, let's say, is about 700,000 a year. We have to pay to that company every year, but it's like supposed to be like an insurance. So when we want to buy land, collectivity, we don't have the money, or we want to use the money for something else, they would come in and buy it for us.
And hold it.
Until now. This is bringing me to talk about the land in Orient Bay area, the Beaupertuis land. You know the problem with the protests and so, the Beaupertuis family, you know that. Most people listening locally would know that. Those lots were up for auction, right? President made a deal with the administrator. Hey, don't auction them. we government, we're going to buy all those lots. Deal was struck, was made, and it came up to 38 million euros for all the lots, which is about nearly 2 million square meters, about 1,944,000, something like that. But anyhow, then the president said, we don't have the money. 38 million, we don't have. We don't even have 10 million, okay? So we're going to call on this Guadeloupe company. We're going to call them St.Maarten, and we collectivity, we're going to borrow money. So it's going to be 3 entities, 22 lots. This company in Guadeloupe, from Guadeloupe, gets 13 lots, and they got the best lots. St.Maarten got 3. The 6 remaining lots be collectivity, which collectivity choose to take the lots that are most of them not constructible, way up in the hill, and this company got the best lots for 13 million euros. So they had to pay the 13 million euros and get a title. You know what they did? That was the first test for them. They said, but we have to get a loan. We have to take a loan to buy the land. And there's interest. But we could take a loan. Why we need to bring you from Guadeloupe? Buy land for us to hold for 10 years. He got, not 5 years, he got him to agree for 10 years. Fine. But we have to pay back the loan that they made. We have to pay the interest on that loan. Plus, we have to continue to pay them a fee. But if we're paying you a fee, it's because you're supposed to have your money. And I told them, and the risk is they get a deed for those lots, or they get deeds because each lot is different. So today, they are the own until it happens, I hope. To me, I hope it didn't happen because I'm totally against the concept. It's dangerous because those lots do not belong to the St.Maarten people, as the president is saying. They belong to Terre Caraïbe for 10 years. Question was asked to the president of the company by internet. She was on the screen, so we could talk to her. What if the collectivity want to use some of those lots before 10 years? She answered, nope, they would have to buy back the lots from us, then use them. But yet, they haven't used their money. They went for a loan, but yet we are paying back the loan, and plus we are paying interest that they should be paying. And they're still getting their fee.
They still have ownership.
They're still getting their fee. When you calculate the just say it's 700,000 per year. In 10 years, that's 7 million. Okay? So they would have gotten 7 million in 10 years, and yet we are paying a loan as if it was us that took the loan. What sense? Why do we have you there? So I always told them that there was a mistake. Let's create our own. You know what the answer was then, 2 years ago, 2 years and a half? Well, they have the money. We don't have if we create our own, we won't have the money. I said we can build those funds. Let's do our own. Now today they realize they don't have the money. We call on them for the first major purchase, and they have to go and borrow the money. What are we doing there with these people? Why? And they have the title, not us. We can't go and say it belongs to the St.Maarten people.
But it's out there that they have bought the land.
Potentially, yes, in 10 years.
For the St.Maarten people.
If everything goes well. But nobody can predict what will happen in 10 years from now.
Okay. One of the reasons why I believe that, or I'm of the opinion that we should have more consultation between both sides, as politicians and as leaders in government, is another issue that I wanted to bring to hear what you have to say, the traffic issue that we're having.
Huge problem.
And this is we are talking, there have been talk over here on the basis of what can we do to address short-term the problem. But and the Prime Minister gave us some statistics about how many cars and all kind of stuff. But nothing at all was mentioned about the French part of the island and the amount of cars there as well. And when you're coming from the French side to the Dutch side, on Bellevue alone, I can't vouch for the other areas, but obviously there is another area in the Kupkoi area where that connection is showing some frustration because the traffic just ain't going and people trying to get to the airport.
Yeah.
Why aren't we having joint consultations to address this problem?
Wendell, you know, every time I come here, we talk about cooperation, and we kept asking the same question: why they're not talking to each other? And it's now years now that I come here. We ask the same question, hoping that maybe it will motivate them to say, okay, 11th of November, that came past last November. Just before that, we spoke about it, hoping that, again, it would not be as usual. They would use that day maybe to take a decision
nice
to move
words
forward in a different way. But no. It's easy. We can start from what is already established in what used to happen, but it's partly the southern side has done what they were supposed to do. I'm talking in the St. Peter's area. It was supposed to be the southern side come up with a road up to the top of the hill, and we would meet them from the other side. They have done their part, this side of the island.
Okay.
The road has been concreted even. It's in concrete all the way to the top.
Okay.
And before it's been done in concrete, it used to be a dirt road. Yeah. And we used to use both sides that road to come from one side to the other quite a few years back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, up to early 90s. We could have done that.
Yes.
The French side found some excuses about, they need to expropriate some people, or some families don't agree for us to use the land, or whatever. They found all kind of excuses not to do their part. And I'm saying that was the beginning of something. If we have a road, as it used to be temporarily, it did happen, leave from Concordia to go to St. Peter's,
yes,
and from St. Peter's into Margot instead of going through the frontiers, Bellevue, and so that would alleviate
some traffic.
Yes, to begin with. We need a road to go like from Bellevue or close to the frontiers. Some people was talking about a tunnel once. Who knows? Let's explore that possibility. But let's talk about it. See, let's discuss. See what ideas we can come up with that we can, solve this problem. It's a huge problem, and we were talking just now. It's about the economy of the island. Our visitors are not coming here to be frustrated in traffic. Those that are on the quads.
Yeah.
On the way here, I saw the frustration. Sometimes are stuck in traffic because they can't pass as a motorbike would do, pass between the cars. So they're stuck behind the cars. Sometimes they have to turn back in grain cars and come right back to the dot side. That's not right. You see, we need to solve the problem, come up with solutions together, because it's a common problem. It's an island-wide problem. Let's talk.
Yeah.
I talk about different things, but we need to begin conversations. Nothing is happening. As a matter of fact, I find that on either side, I think on both sides, to me, they ignore the problem. You don't hear none of the governments talking about, okay, let's see how we are planning to, or we are thinking about doing so or so, how we plan to meet and to see. Nothing. It's like the problem doesn't exist, whereas it's one of the biggest problems that we are having now. So.
But it's going to eventually affect the tourists or tourism product, because you have people who leave this side and go to the French side.
Of course.
As part of what we deliver as a country to the tourists.
We need each other. Doesn't matter what we do, we need each other. People say we are Siamese twins. We are.
Yeah.
We need each other. So we have to work together. Our status, you have 10-10-10 autonomy. You had autonomy even when it was the Netherlands Antilles. There was always some kind of more advanced autonomy on the southern side than the northern side. But today, we have advanced autonomy. Article 74 gave us autonomy. Of course, it needs to be worked on. We need a higher degree of autonomy than we have now, but that's okay. We can take certain decisions that we could not have taken years ago, before 2007. So whatever decisions we can take without the interference of France, for instance, and that we are competent for, that those things we can sit down and discuss.
But if you're not having discussions, then we are satisfied with the situation the way it is?
It seems like that, but I think when we do that, we are not taking the opportunity that's being given to us when we became, whether country St.Maarten or collectivity, because when we became collectivity, that's when we became autonomous. We're not taking advantage of that when it comes to the cooperation.
Who has to?
We're not using that in the right way.
Who has to take the initiative to begin these discussions?
Both leaders, the Prime Minister and the President. It starts there. I mean, they don't really have to take the initiative. It could come from MPs.
Yeah.
It can come from ministers. It can come from the Executive Council. It can come from territorial councillors who decide to meet with MPs and say, okay, let we start something, then take it to them. That can happen too. I mean, I try that with a few MPs that I know well.
Did it work?
That some of them are friends.
Yeah.
I mentioned it. Okay, yes, we're going to do. And we're not moving still, you know. I wouldn't say this, but I went even further. Okay, I went further and had a certain conversation with somebody very much in a high position on this side, and it sounded good. We talked. I said, okay, I can be a facilitator now that I've talked to you. Let's see how. And it still didn't go anywhere. You know, so I tried from my side.
What's
but
the reason,
you know,
you think? What's the reason? Are we satisfied within our own structure on the
sometimes
south,
there's little stupidity. I'm waiting for you to come to me, and you waiting for me to come to you. You know, sometimes it's little nonsense like that.
Yeah, but eventually, what flares up, like, and I always have to use the situation on the airport where a bunch of folks from the French side might be working at the airport, and then at a given moment, something happened, and then they were told that they can't get a pass to come in and do their work that they normally do, as a result of whatever that is hindering it, or that might be the right in some ways, or maybe that's not the best way to say it, but because of no consultations to address these flare-ups. Some time ago, it was, you can drop people on the French side, but you can't pick them up and bring them back. And these things happen every now and again. It's because we are not having consultations.
The most ridiculous thing is when it comes to, for instance, to a funeral. If someone is in a house over here, and the hearse has to move that person to the church on the French side, they only can bring it to the church. They can't take it from the church to the cemetery, things like that, you know. And those things are things that never existed before. Today, it's very complicated. It's even complicated. The chasing of criminals and so, that's being signed, allowed to chase once you notify. Okay, but I understand even the ambulance. If a French ambulance needs to come on the Dutch side or vice versa, it's complicated. We need to sit down and put things the way they used to be before. That didn't exist before. But today, simple things like that, I call them simple things, are difficult, or they're complicated. For what?
Shouldn't be.
Yeah, but together we can sit down. I mean, okay, there are certain things where the state is involved, but when we find that the state needs to be involved, well, we discuss those things with them, but there are certain things for which we don't need them. Let's start there.
Okay.
Let's start by those things.
Yeah. Anyway, seems like we're out of time. There's so much to talk about, but I would very much like to see some regular consultations between both sides because it's necessary when it comes to the oneness that really should exist. And there was this talk about, I use the word Congress, but it is something
which is a good idea. I mean, a super good idea. We can call it anything, but the concept is good.
Yeah.
Look how many years since 2013 we're talking about that. 13 years now.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Not even a first conversation together about the idea. And both sides are saying, yeah, good idea. But
I started with what's in the Constitution. We have regular consultations with Curaçao and Aruba, which is necessary. But it also says there, and
yeah, it is written.
Okay, that's in the preamble that we're supposed to have consultations with the French side of the island as well, with the French, with our neighbors in French St.Maarten. So, hey, why aren't we having it?
Well, let's hope that by keep repeating it, and some of your guests, I heard somebody on the radio yesterday on the French side mentioning the need of us, of governments, both governments coming together and talk. So many things.
The traffic does mess both of us up on both sides, and if nothing else, that's one way that should speed up the process of having conversation as to how we could solve. You mentioned one way on St. Peter's Hill going on into Concordia and vice versa. That would alleviate a lot of traffic. You don't have to go all through this bottleneck here to get to Marigot. You could do it up there. All right. That's it for today, folks. I want to thank Councilman Jules Charville for coming in and sharing his thoughts and ideas with us. I'll continue to invite you over because I think if others are not available, I'll be very happy to have these conversations.
It's always a pleasure to be here. I want to thank you once more for having me.
All right, folks, that's it for today. You come and join us again tomorrow, God's willing, when we'll have another guest and have a conversation right here on Viewpoint. Over to John we go. You take care. Enjoy your Thursday. Goodbye.